What's the best toddler complaint you've ever gotten? Part 3. At almost 4. My son didn't have the vocabulary to describe things as blurry or out of focus. One day he swiped my glasses, put them in and said in the most betrayed voice I'd ever heard, "It makes everything so ugly." He was crying because he couldn't go to school with his older sister. After a couple slices of pizza, 3-year-old bursts into tears and says, "My mouth wants more but my tummy doesn't." Me too, kid. Me too. My son, age 2, when in a rage would shout, "No thank you." Other parents could see we had a handful, but he was so polite. My son used to complain that he had a tummy ache in his ear. My 2-year-old cousin cried when I refused to race him on the smaller of 2 kiddie bikes. "I'll take the bigger one since I don't want to scrape my legs up." My 3-year-old just told me her son butter and honey sandwich is too scary to eat. This is after she's halfway done with it. When I was a toddler, remember crying when my uncle gave me a piece of chicken while we were eating at the table. I told everyone there were monkeys in it. I remember doing it, but I don't remember why. When I said I can't, "I'm really broke," he said, "Well, when are you going to be fixed?" I dated a girl many years ago who had a 3-year-old son. He just recently discovered his magical penis. They had a very honest conversation about it. Do girls have penises? No, only boys have penises. I was at her house one night and it was his bedtime. But first he had to pick up his toys. Of course he threw a temper tantrum instead. When it looked like he was losing the argument, he walked off exclaiming, "I have a penis and you don't." She turned to me and said, "It's starting already?" Where most kids have a boogeyman, mine had an 18th century German composer. I made the mistake of trying to expose my 4-year-old daughter to some high culture and played her some Beethoven. She liked it. So I told her about him and showed a picture of him, which absolutely terrified her. I mean, have a look for yourself. There are no nice portraits of Beethoven. She was scared that he was going to come get her. So I, stupidly, explained that she had nothing to worry about because he's dead. That just ratcheted up the terror level for her. I guess she was picturing him as some kind of zombie now. Anyways, for about a year after that, she was regularly calling me into her room because Beethoven was under her bed or in her closet. This will probably get buried. But my son, around age 3, once threw a fit over a fountain getting sold. Backstory: there's a swanky grocery store near us with a beautiful floral department that's very odd. At one point, a large garden fountain was always in the middle of the display, merrily burbling away. My son adored it. I assumed that it wasn't for sale because of its size and the store's swankiness. Until one day, we went into the store and the fountain was gone. The following dialogue ensued. Where's the fountain? Mama. Me, it must have been sold. Honey. Why? Me, I mean, someone bought it? Why would someone do that? Me, trying to think how to explain capitalism in appropriate manner, failing. Well, someone liked it, so they took it home with them. After they gave money to the store. Eyes filling with tears, "It won't come back." Me, "No honey. It's gone." In tears, "I hope they give it a good home." So, fountain, wherever you are, I hope you got a good home because you broke my little boy's heart and left me quite flustered. I used to travel to preschools and teach yoga and sports to the kids. I've got plenty of stories, but my favorite is a girl who would always cry during class. One day she finally told me, "I'm just a little bit sad cause I'm a little bit hungry." Yoga at the school was an additional cost to parents, so the kiddos would get pulled out of class, and she got pulled out right as her class woke up from nap and had snack. She always had her snack waiting for her when I brought her back to class. The minute class was over, she always stopped crying and ran back for snack. The place settings were fork, spoon, knife on a napkin for a holiday dinner. We started with soup. My 3-year-old cried because she thought she had to eat her soup with a fork because it was first in line. Another, my kid was the only grandkid living in the same town as her grandparents, and so she got to spend a lot of time with them. One day her grandma casually mentioned another grandkid. My kid got really upset because she didn't want to share them. When she was told there are 5 other grandkids, she was furious. I stepped in her imaginary puddle and now everything was wet. We were inside. On the kitchen tile. Nothing was wet. When I was trying to wean my then 2-year-old, I bought some chocolate milk for her as incentive. She seemed excited about and all was going well until she found out the chocolate milk wasn't going to come from a breast. My nephew once had a meltdown because my sister told him that her and I were brother and sister. He said, "No, he's my uncle." She said, "Yes, he's your uncle, but he's also my brother." 20 minutes of calming him down and assuring him that I'm just his uncle. Granddaughter told me I needed to clean that, pointing at my slightly dirty bathroom mirror. It wasn't what she said. It was how she said it, like I was the filthiest human to ever live and should be ashamed for living in such filth. I often make up silly songs for my daughter, 2.5-year-old, while doing mundane things. The cleanup song, the bath time song, dinner is served song, etc. Recently she has taken to adding her own lyrics to any of them. A few weeks ago, the diaper changing song got a new verse. My papa change my diaper. He's the best at what he does. He wipes my poo until it's through. I love him just because. I bout cried. This kid is gonna run circles around me, she's so damn smart. On a kind of related note. /r/fuck you, I'm a toddler is a hilarious sub. The chicken nuggets are not round enough. My 4-year-old this morning while passing a river, the water floats too much. My son got really upset that the street near our house wouldn't allow boomerangs. It was a no left turn sign. One of my 3-year-olds is a fountain of catchphrases. It's too steep and it's too working for difficult tasks, well, difficult from his perspective. If he doesn't want to do something, not today. In a sing-song voice. This is from, like, 30 years ago. But my youngest sister, when we would go on trips to parks, would complain that we have big legs and walk slow. She had to run everywhere. And we were all fat. When he was 4, my cousin got upset that there was a door blocking the entrance to the house. It was literally just the front door. My kid was about a year old. Wife and I were snuggling on the sofa. Kid was playing on the floor in front of us. Wife and I are both sci-fi buffs and we were talking about SETI. And its relative lack of success. I asked my wife in passing. Where are the aliens? Kid heard the question. Stood up. Said. Baby, look. And padded off into the next room. Then she cried when she couldn't find the aliens. 2 kids. 2 stories. On my son's 5th birthday he was absolutely pissed. I asked him what was wrong and he said, "I'm not 5. So I said, "Sure you are. It's your birthday and you were born 5 years ago and I'm not 5. He cut me off. Look at me. I'm the same as yesterday. He screamed at me to just see the truth for quite some time. It was bizarre, honestly. Story 2. Me to my daughter, check on the cookies. Look through the oven window, how are they doing? My daughter, 4, begins crying I can't tell how they are because they don't have eyebrows. I can't tell how they feel. Kid I babysat cried because the fur on the touch and feel book she read all the time was too soft that night. My 4-year-old nephew was once crying saying mud. Mud. I thought he wanted to play with clay, but it turns out there was a moth in the room and he wanted to be friends with it. I was at the lake with my family and was playing with my little godson. I threw him in the water. So he surfaces. Glares at me. And says, "Yeah. Well. You'll die before me." We all lost it. He's a pretty awesome little guy. My niece did not like that only one little piggy got roast beef. I had to do it again. But with only that line for all of them. My 3-year-old lost his shit a few weeks back because trees exist. "What's that?" he asked. Pointing to a tree, something he's seen thousands of times. "That's a tree, buddy. You know that?" "Why?" "Because it's a tree and they exist." But I don't like that. And then the hysterics began. My kid learned to cycle with trainer wheels, of course. Once the rear wheel got in a rut, so no amount of pedaling would move the bike forward. The bike was subsequently abandoned because it was broken. It took me days to get the kid try the bike again. My kids used to complain when I couldn't change the weather. No, we can't go to the park, it's pouring. Mom, just make it stop raining. Little kids really do think their parents can do anything. Apparently. My niece wanted to use salt on her meal because she seen an adult do it. We told her no, as she was only 3, and it wasn't a healthy meal anyway. She then complained that the food was too hot and she needed salt to cool it down. Because he wanted to go back to bed for a nap but didn't want to go alone, nor were we allowed to go with him. A 3-year-old girl I babysit was sad that the squirrel outside didn't have a coat, and became angry that I didn't have one on hand for him. I had gone to pick up my son from daycare many moons ago. All the lights were off and I was concerned, 'cause my kid was supposed to be here and it looked like the place was empty. I knocked on the door, anxiously waiting, and the daycare lady came to the door. Of course, the first words out of my mouth were, "Why are all the lights off?" And she told me that my kid had gotten an eyelash in his eye around 2 p.m. and had requested all the lights to be shut off while he worked through this. It was 5:30 p.m. in the winter in upstate New York. So the whole house was pretty pitch black. I still laugh thinking about the whole daycare. 2 providers and 3 other kids besides my son, bumping into things in the dark because he had an eyelash in his eye, lol. I don't know if this is too gross, but when my son was 3, he had a tummy bug and came to me crying that his butt threw up. Thanks for watching.